Hey guys, it's Chandler, and welcome to the Healing Heroes.
I promise you.
I'm Chandler Stroud, an executive, wife, and busy mom of two, who after years of living with anxiety, health struggles, and an unshakable feeling like I should be happier, made a profound discovery that changed everything. Join me on a journey where unexpected paths lead to healing and more happiness. On this show, we'll explore unconventional ways to unlock more joy in your own life with the help of my very own healers and trusted advisors, the Healing Heroes. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I am your host, Chandler, and today we are featuring another Healing Heroine episode. This is a special format where I interview one of my heroes alongside a female client that they've supported through healing and transformation so that our listeners can learn how to find more health and happiness, not just from me and my expert board of advisors, as I like to call them, but also real women who have successfully done the work to rediscover their joy after facing adversity. Today's conversation is going to highlight the power of accountability, not as punishment or discipline, but as a tool for self-compassion and sustainable change. You'll hear from Diedra, an incredible woman who wears many, many hats, including senior executive in the financial services industry, wife, and mother who managed through years of work stress, weight gain, and even chronic illness, all while managing a demanding career and a big life move. Today's conversation is for every successful female professional who has shown up for everyone in her life reliably, sometimes at the expense of herself. You'll also hear from our hero and accountability coach, Bonnie, whose gentle but structured approach has helped Diedra shift not only her health, but her relationship with herself. Bonnie is also one of the experts inside Healing Heroes Happiness Academy, launching later this fall, where we guide women through a 90-day roadmap to healing and lasting transformation. Before we go deeper into Deidra's story, here's a bit more about her background for listeners. Diedra Porcher is a senior financial services executive with more than 30 years of experience across consumer, business, and commercial banking. She has led large teams, driven business growth, and advocated for diversity and equity at the highest levels of leadership. Outside of work, she gives back through board service and community initiatives, and she has been recognized nationally as a woman of influence in finance. So excited for all of us to meet and hear from Diedra today. And for those of you who don't know Bonnie yet, she has changed hundreds of lives as a lifestyle coach with All In, a program that focuses on accountability, one-on-one personalized coaching, and tools that inspire a complete and lasting lifestyle shift toward good health. After personally succeeding with the program, she was tapped to coach, where her focus with clients is to build lasting lifestyle changes through movement and clean fuel, and to help readjust their mindset and approach to one of positivity and optimism. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited for this conversation. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled that we are here and that we have Diedra with us.
Thank you. And I am delighted and honored to be here with two amazing women. This is such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, Diedra. We are so excited you're here, and I can't wait to get into this conversation with you because I think so many successful female professionals are going to hear your story, and it's really going to resonate in so many ways and on so many levels. So thank you for taking the time out of your insane schedule. And I can attest, guys, her week next week sounds insane. Like interviews, TV interviews, and master classes, and traveling to New York for team meetings and trainings. I mean, she is incredibly busy and managed to take the time for today. And I'm so excited to hear her words of wisdom and her journey so that all of us can learn more about how to heal and reframe some of the ways we can take care of ourselves more effectively and with more grace than we probably would otherwise. So with that, let's start with a few warm-up questions before we get into the meat of today's conversation. And Bonnie, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
What's something that you've celebrated recently with a client that made you smile?
I have so many great things to smile about with my clients because the majority of them just come here with open hearts and are ready to learn and heal from the inside out. I would say one of the most memorable, I mean, I have a million with Diedra that I could bring up, but with another client of mine, many of us who started a journey like this are kind of sedentary and we're a bit lost and we haven't been moving for a while. So I have a client who's just wonderful and she has been lost for a while and she embraced this journey. She came here because she needed to heal and she has started running. She joined the weighted vest club, as I like to say.
Haven't we all?
I know, right? We're part of the tribe. She's joined a gym. And the most important thing that I'm really so proud of her about is the boundaries that she has set up. Because, she just spent a weekend away with family. And you know how we all have those, in the nicest way I say this, pushers that are like, oh, we're going to go to a state fair and we're going to try all the food at the state fair. And I have goosebumps as I tell you this. She went to the state fair. She rocked it out. She couldn't believe how family and friends of hers, were pushing the food upon her. And she just politely kept saying, no, thank you. And she's like, I really had to say it a couple times. I'm really good. No, thank you. So I think that's one of the best and most heartwarming things where she said, thank you for teaching me that I can say that I can set up boundaries that, beforehand we might have been so concerned about offending someone, but you're protecting yourself. You're understanding what matters for you and your goals. And that's such a beautiful and powerful thing. So I think that's one of the biggest wins for me is that state fair stuff, because I used to go and it used to be all about the food. And I said, make it more about the people, make it about the memories you're making and just enjoy yourself. So yeah, that's pretty.
I love that.
I know. Right?
Love that.
I know,
Great share,
right.
Bonnie. Thank you, Bonnie, for sharing that. I love that story.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Diedra, your turn. What's something simple that's been bringing you joy outside of work lately?
Something that brought me joy. Flowers. So fresh flowers have always brought me joy. And when I was a little girl, one of the goals that I had was that when I was an adult, I was going to have fresh flowers to my heart's desire, not just at my wedding or on special occasions, but whenever I wanted to, I'd have fresh flowers just because they made me so happy. And I'm so blessed to live here in Los Angeles, California, where flowers are abundant. I get them literally at Trader Joe's. But I share that very simple thing because part of what I've learned in this program, and I know we're going to talk more about this later today, are what are the things that bring you joy? And how do you ensure that you have that around you and it's accessible? And seeing these beautiful flowers on my counter every time I pass bring me joy.
That's incredible, especially knowing that you just got back from a vacation with your daughter, which is what I expected you to be talking about for this question. But I love so much more that you just went to the simple act of seeing the flowers on your counter. So thank you for sharing that, because it's so important to do those little things for yourself. And they really can, that joy, that's the joy that just keeps on giving. Diedra, before we get into your work with Bonnie, can you simply just walk us through your story in your own words? I'd love to know more about the journey you were on before you met Bonnie, and of course, what ultimately led you to reaching out to her for support.
Sure. As I think back, as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be involved and engaged in ways that allowed me to give back and to encourage others. even back in high school, I was a cheerleader. So I was one of those. I was the rah-rah girl. But more importantly, I was always like raising the spirit, raising school spirit. I was in, student council and I was always looking for ways to be engaged. But I also remember that I was always struggling with body image and weight. And as I remember it, it was always an obstacle for me to be able to do the things that I really wanted to do, to show up as my best self. And I struggled with fluctuation with my weight over many, many years and into me growing my career. And I just remember it always being something that held me back and caused me to turn inward and caused me to not have a ton of confidence when I knew I had so much to give. And it was interesting because as my career grew and blossomed, I still struggled with getting the right balance in terms of my health and wellness, and even how I felt about my body image and how I felt about myself. It was perplexing that I could, in many ways, be so successful in other aspects of my life, but I couldn't manage to get this one right. And it made me feel as though I couldn't be all that I was meant to be. I lead a very purpose-driven life. I have a very deep and abiding faith, and I believe that I'm in places and spaces to impact the lives of others, not for me as much as it is to impact others. And when I'm so focused on my weight, I'm so focused on my health, I'm not available. And so I had the opportunity and challenge to take on a new responsibility on the other side of the country, to literally pick up my entire family and move them to the West Coast. And that was a big deal. I mean, when you think about, a mom of 2 kids, preteens moving across the country, you've got to get a new home and new doctors, and not to mention I was starting a whole new role and responsibility. It was a lot. And shortly after landing here, I got sick. I'd never been sick a day in my life, never broken a bone, never been hospitalized other than when I had my kids. And I found myself battling this debilitating condition that wasn't even diagnosed. We were still trying to figure out what was happening with my body. And that also caused me to be doubtful and to worry, and it increased the stress level. And as I moved through that condition and sought to recover from it, I also began to put on even more weight. And that was really, really incredibly stressful. And I was trying just about everything and not making any progress. And I was at yet another work event, and I ran into a colleague that I hadn't seen in many months, and she looked amazing. And so, of course, you know what we do. I said, what have you done? What are you doing? Tell me, spill it. And she shared with me this program and said, I have someone that I want to introduce you to. And it was Bonnie. And it changed my whole life. There are people, I say this rarely, but there are people in your life that you say, where has this person been my whole natural life? Bonnie is one of the few people I get to say that about, because literally working with her over these many months has changed my life. So I'm so grateful for her and everything she's done.
Well, the feeling is mutual. And now where are the tissues? Because, yeah, I mean, Deidra's amazing. I can't say enough good things about you. And your story resonates with so many people, and myself personally, because I remember the same thing as a child, growing up fluctuating between weights, feeling less than. Why was this the one thing holding me back? And I couldn't figure it out until I got involved with accountability. So I'm emotional hearing your story because it's such a beautiful one. And I also moved from the East Coast, my whole family, to the West Coast. And then we landed here, and my husband, of course, was off traveling. So I had 3 boys, teenagers, on down, who hated living in the Pacific Northwest. I was responsible, evidently, for so I took the brunt of all of it, right?
Sure.
And I also started putting the weight on. And so I totally relate to what you're saying. I had no excuse for the illness. It was just, I think, unhappiness and stress and everything. So I'm so glad. I always feel everything happens for a reason. And so we found each other, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Anyway.
I do believe that too, Bonnie. And I think what you're saying resonates so much. We really underestimate the impact it has on our health and well-being. Moves like that, they're so stressful. There's so much to think about. They often fall on one person, even though it might be you and your partner moving. There's just a natural kind of maybe lopsided division of labor at times, especially if kids are involved. And there's so many things to think about. I have to say, like, I'm not surprised you came down with a chronic illness after all of that, experiencing all of that.
It's a good call out, Chandler. I don't think we know what stress like truly does to the body, right? There's so much that stress does to the mind and the body. And I agree. I feel like in many ways, the illness was triggered by a lot of the stress that I was under with such a big change and such a big move. Yeah.
I also think that you, we all tend to, but you in particular, probably put everyone else before you, make sure everyone else is happy, because that's how I felt as well. And you don't really realize that you're losing yourself and you're losing track of what's important to you or what matters or how we could, we're very good with our friends and telling them how to take care of themselves. But when it comes to us, I was always last in line. So I get
100%.
that move and getting your family settled. And then you hit the ground running with this huge career move. Yeah, it's
so true. So true. I think about towards the end, and I know we need to move on, Chandler, but I think about like the build up to leave. So I left my nanny behind, who was like a family member to me. She had ushered my family through the loss of my mother, which had happened about 5 years prior to us relocating. And so leaving everything behind, and then all that it took to get there and get settled, doctors and orthodontists and schools and all of those things, right? Oftentimes will fall on mom, even when you have a career. I just think they weigh heavy on us, and we don't realize, to Bonnie's point, that we're putting ourselves last in terms of rest and nutrition and movement. The key components of what has given me my life back were probably the last thing I was thinking about at the time.
Yeah, that resonates. Especially since, I'd be remiss not to mention that was the key question that led me to make the leap of faith in my own life was, are there unprocessed emotions and stress that I have been carrying emotionally, physically, that have caused me to feel unfulfilled, to feel physically unwell in my body? And as soon as I started peeling back the onion on that, thank you, Bessel van der Kolk, Body Keeps the Score, read that book. It started this whole healing journey for me. And so this podcast was born. But I absolutely believe in what you're saying. We don't know what stress really does to the body outside of the inflammation and things that have been studied. But I really believe that it's so important to take care of yourself and make sure you're checking in so that those symptoms don't worsen. I have to ask, Diedra, how did you feel those experiences and hardships impacted you physically, emotionally, and even professionally at the time? A move is obviously very stressful, but do you remember kind of your mindset when all of this was happening?
I just remember feeling, am I up for this? Like feeling like I don't have enough. maybe we have the wrong person here, because it felt like too much for me. So I lacked confidence. There was some imposter syndrome going on there. Like, really, God? Are you sure this is what I'm supposed to do? Do we have the wrong person for the assignment? I felt that over and over again. Again, lacked confidence in my ability to get everything done and to create the right balance. And it's really easy to turn inward at times like that and say not so nice things to myself, right? Like, again, serious issues around body image and, do I belong? Do I fit in? Should I be here? Get this. Why can't you get this other stuff right? So I just think at, times of stress, it's very easy to beat yourself up, to turn inward. And I felt a lot of that. And just wasn't sure after, because I think I was in my mid 40s, close to mid 40s when we moved. And said, gosh, you haven't gotten it right in 40 years. So what makes you think now is going to be any different? Like, get it together, sister. Just not so nice to myself. Yeah.
I always say that a journey like this, like yours, and it's something that I never understood. I thought it was always about the weight, right? Always about the body. You got to get it right inside. Like, your mind has to be in sync. And I think that was the biggest aha moment. And I've seen it with you as well. You just it's the way we speak to ourselves, the way we think of ourselves, the way we look. Can we meet our own eyes in the mirror? What can resonate with you to flip that switch so that you understand, yes, you are worthy. Yes, you are capable. And yes, you are such a shining bright light that you need to spread that all around to everyone.
And especially, Diedra, I'm just thinking about like that kind of dialogue playing in the background as you're stepping into a really intimidating, big role that was new for you at the time, that was a lot more responsibility. I mean, I can't imagine how much added stress, like in some ways starting over and proving yourself, right? I think that had to have been really difficult, I would imagine.
For sure. And so much riding on the responsibility beyond it just being a bigger job. This was new territory for my business. There was a lot riding on getting it right, not just for me, but for my company. And so it was hugely stressful. I will say there was something inside of me, and again, I anchor on my faith, that said, no, you can do this. Stop beating yourself up. Figure out what tools and resources you need. Keep trying. Don't lose hope. You can do this. And so that little ember, kept burning, and I kept searching. And it's just been great to see how far I've come in this period of time.
And I'm really excited to get there. I'm really curious for other women who are listening and wondering this. Was there a specific breaking point or trigger point where you knew something had to change?
Sure. So, and Bonnie will remember this because she helped me through this period. My daughter was about to graduate from college.
That's when we first began.
That is exactly when we began.
And you were nervous about it. And I'm like, we can do it. We can do it.
It was our first victory. But
yeah,
my daughter was graduating from college, and we were not only going to be moving her completely out of her place and going through getting all of her things home, but we were putting her on a plane to Greece. She was going to be immediately heading out for a trip. And I remember feeling really not, like, physically not feeling great. My knees hurt so bad. And I had part of what was left over from that undiagnosed condition was chronic rheumatoid style pain. Like, I'd get inflammation in my knees or my joints, and you never knew when it was coming, and it would last longer than you wanted it to. And at this time, I was having really bad knee pain. And I just remember saying, God, if you can help me get through this and figure out what works, I will stick to it and I'll never turn back. And then I met Bonnie. And what was great about this time was I was going to have about 3 weeks after I moved my daughter out to get accustomed to a new way of living and get accustomed to new habits. But Bonnie encouraged me to start even as we were moving my daughter out. She said, listen, we could wait until the new year, but we could start now. You can do this. And it was just something about her saying, you can do this. And I did. And just knowing that I was able to do that. And she made the process so simple. I literally, and I've never started anything, the perfect Monday. You're not going to work.
Right. Next Monday. Next Monday, right?
Next Monday. Always next Monday.
Tomorrow.
Right. But I believed her, and she was right. I was able to start, and I've never looked back.
No.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And Bonnie, we'll get to you in a second. I have one or two more questions for Deidra, and then we'll get
please. I love
going.
it.
But she's like, this is so good. I'm wanting women to like see themselves in these situations and really like feel the relationship. Deidra, looking back now, what would you say your younger self most needed to hear during that difficult season?
You're enough. You're capable. Doing away with the imposter syndrome and saying everything that you need to accomplish the goals that you have for yourself to get through the difficult times is in you. You just need the tools and the support to access it. You're enough. You're enough at the beginning stages of very, challenging and complex things. You're enough on the other side of that when you're enjoying the benefits of the work you've done. So I would just say for any woman at any stage of the journey for things that they're seeking to accomplish, you're enough. You just got to have the right set of tools and supporting resources to get there.
Mic drop. I think
I agree.
that's what most women need to hear, honestly. I mean, and it's work, right? To convince yourself of that at times. So
For sure.
I love that you're saying that. And it's an important message for women to hear and really think about each and every day. Deidra, turning to accountability now, what was it about Bonnie's approach in particular that drew you in? Did it feel different than some of the other things you had tried in the past?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that question, Chandler. Accountability is key. And we all intuitively know accountability is key because we've experienced it in some way, in some fashion throughout our lives. But what was different is Bonnie represented in the way that she worked with me and engaged the most positive accountability I've ever experienced. I don't think I'd ever put positivity and support and encouragement and accountability in the same sentence. I'll say that again. I don't think I've ever put accountability and encouragement and support in the same sentence. And that's what I was missing. That is what I needed, was to be able to be accountable to my goals, to what was going to make me feel better, to stick to the program, but doing so in a positive, supportive, reassuring way. And it created the right balance for me because in the past, my personal accountability was, oh, you failed. You didn't get that right. You messed up. Start over. Start next week. Start next Monday. Start with the new program. Start with the new app. And instead of saying, okay, so that wasn't the best choice for you, make a better choice next time. And that's what Bonnie did for me. And so daily, throughout the day, hearing positive reinforcing messages, reminding me of my goals and what I got out of this engagement made all the difference. And it is, when I talk about the program and I talk about the tenets of the program, it's the main point that I share is that positive accountability. And it resonates when I talk to individuals about the journey. Heads nod. I think people intuitively know that they need that. and just haven't been able to properly access it.
It's hard. It's a really hard thing if you're not used to loving yourself in that way and treating yourself with that kind of compassion. That shift is really hard and takes time sometimes. And it's so intentional, right? You have to be so intentional about it, which is why having an accountability coach can hold you accountable to talking to yourself in that new way. How did the accountability help you move through not just your health goals necessarily, but also the stress and emotions tied to your career and the illness that you were navigating?
Great question. The thing I was thinking when you were talking, Chandler, is when you said the intentionality, being accountable to your goals and to the progress that you want to make, to even how you feel about yourself, is not one and done. It requires daily, many times throughout the day, a recommitment to yourself and to your goals. And having an accountability partner like Bonnie really helps with that. Because you could be going through something particularly stressful that day, and having that message come through to remind you to take a break, feed your body, to hydrate, to take a walk, to take a mental break. It's just what you need to renew your commitment to yourself. And so I think that is also one of the key elements of a program like this, is to have throughout the day and on a daily basis, weekly basis, someone that reminds you of the commitment you've made to yourself and also holds you accountable to it. And I would just say, too, I've had many, many more well days, very, very few ill days over the last couple of years. Thank God and thank Bonnie. But at times, I've not felt well. I've been, sick or maybe had some inflammation that's caused me to be down a bit, but just the gracious support and providing me with the tools to get through it. I'll give you an example. I remember one of the times that I wasn't feeling well, having Bonnie share with me, hey, here's what I do when I feel like you feel right now, and making some recommendations on what I could do to nourish my body and giving me permission to rest. It sounds odd that I need permission, but it's a part of the process of caring for myself and honoring my body and knowing what I need, that accountability really supports.
How has your relationship with your body shifted since working with Bonnie?
Wow. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm so proud of what my body can do. And I'm so appreciative. I have so much gratitude. There's a scripture that talks about being grateful for having the ability of your limbs and being in your right mind. And I think about that now when I'm able to pop out of bed and put on my sneakers. This was actually in one of Bonnie's messages recently, but to be able to hop out of bed and lace up my sneakers and go for a run. Yes, I'm so amazed.
And let me just touch upon that. The other morning, which something you did, which I was like, and I didn't want to, because it was so exciting. She said, I just got back from a run. Now, to some people, that might seem like, one and done, no big deal. This was a big deal. She's running now. And she's worked hard to get to that point. And that was an emotional statement. So though I might not have, I was like, run, but it was such a moving moment for me because the pride I have, and this is all you, my friend, from where you started to where you are now. Oh, like nonchalant, I just went for a run this morning. Oh, okay, you go. I mean, no, it was amazing.
And you said, Diedra, that your chronic illness that you had been struggling with before meeting Bonnie was like kind of a rheumatoid arthritis type symptom, right? Yeah. So it really is incredible. You could run without feeling pain.
It truly is a big deal when you think about, in addition to that, the chronic illness, the weight that can make it more difficult to have that weight off of my joints and to feel comfortable to run is a big deal. So I truly mean the way that I'm able to move my body is something that I'm so grateful for and I think about. And certainly I like the way I look in my clothes. I like that I can shop off the rack. I like that I have more options now. I like
Yeah.
that I fit more comfortably in an airplane seat, not just a first class seat, but a main seat. My point being, there's so many benefits aesthetically, but really, I think our bodies are amazing. And certainly as I get older, knowing that my body can move the way it was designed to move I'm just eternally grateful for.
Well, that's incredible how far you've come. Thank you for sharing all of that. I now have so many questions for Bonnie, but I'm going to limit it to a couple so that Bonnie has a chance to ask you a few. Bonnie, when you first began working with Diedra, what stood out to you about where she was and what she needed most?
You know, we spoke on the phone initially, which is what I love to do with new clients when we begin, because I want them to hear my voice. I want them to understand that, and this sounds odd, but I'm someone that you can trust and that I know where she's been. I know how the point where she's standing right now, and I've been there. So I really, really do understand what my clients, their starting point. When she began, we talked about the loss of her mother. We talked about, the emotions behind that and how it can affect you. We talked about her daughter graduating. And the one thing that stuck out with me is how much she wanted this change. And I felt that because I was the exact same way. And so many of my clients are. And there's also that doubt. Can I do this? Is this going to be another? And I say this for myself, not you, Diedra. Is this going to be like, but my husband would say to me, another diet? And that's where we flip the switch. That's where it's not, and I think I said that to you when we first got on the phone. This is not a diet. This is not a one and done. This is not a quick fix. This is a lifestyle. And that's why I said to her, when she was starting at one of the busiest times of the year and in her life with graduations and sending her daughter off to Greece around the world, there's never going to be a good time. We just need to take that first step. And I remember saying, just trust me. We can do this. We can move forward and you can make progress even during this heavy and busy and complicated time of your life. And that's what we did. And so the one thing that is a gift about Diedra is she is pure sunshine, first of all, absolutely pure sunshine. And when you said, I can't, I've never heard that out of your mouth. I've never heard that word. And I hear it from a lot of clients. I can't do this. I can't do that. There are a lot of excuses. I've never heard that from her or from you. And that is a really, really inspirational, powerful thing to be able to say about you, is that there was nothing in my mind that you could never do. I knew you would get to this point. I knew how much you wanted it. And the work that she has put in, I don't know, and I hope everyone listening out there understands, this woman is nonstop. She goes at lightning speed, and she is still taking care of herself from the inside out. She is bringing a balance into her life that we all need. I mean, I could go on, and you probably want me to stop, but I can't say enough good things about you. You got it. You get it, and you're living it. And I just think it is beyond moving and inspirational, and I'm so proud of you.
You're too kind. You are too kind, Bonnie.
I'm very
you.
honest. I'm very honest. And that's what I want you to understand is what you've done and what the gift you've given to yourself by investing in yourself and believing and creating a brighter future for yourself and for your family and now the travels. And you're pretty amazing.
Thank you. I just want to offer to Chandler the magic of having someone like Bonnie always so close by. And this is, Bonnie, correct me if I'm wrong, this may be only the second or third time that we've spoken.
Yeah. That's the and the relationship, you can tell the bond between the two of us.
Yes.
Someone has called me on a humorous note, Diedra, very best pen pal around, because the majority of our conversation is done via text messaging. And so this is, I think, the second time, maybe, we've talked, maybe third or fourth time we've ever talked on the third time we've talked on the phone. But yeah, it's not a lot of, and this is really face to face that we've seen each other.
Indeed.
We've never met in person. So
Indeed.
Yeah.
And yet she is my best friend. Honestly, to
Same way.
have access to a person that understands what you need and is there to support you right in your pocket is so powerful. And so when I talk to
Thank
other
you.
really busy women, I share this is what was missing for me. And I don't know how I I wouldn't have gotten to this point without this type of support. Because one of the challenges when, this is probably no surprise to many, when you lead a busy schedule is figuring out, like, if you're on the road and, if you're traveling and if you're getting back, like, how do you fit it all in? How do you get it done? So having the accountability and the support, right? So nearby, so convenient, so accessible, so supportive and encouraging is really magical. So thank you, Bonnie.
Well, can I just share one other funny story about Deidre that's like funny but fabulous?
I mean, please, I'm tearing up here.
No,
I
no.
obviously get the power
Let
of
me-
accountability, but you two share a bond that is just magical to witness. And I'm so grateful to be witnessing this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was she was coming, I mean, lots of black ties, lots of events. She's always on the go, as we've said. And this is what I mean about her. This is what I mean about the commitment and follow through. She'd gone to an event at night, and I assumed we were signing off for the night after the event. And then she shoots over the workout to me. And as she's leaving the gym, let me just share this with you. She passes her boss, who looks at her like, "Are you leaving the gym? Did you just finish a workout?" And I said, "Well, I hope you're headed there to get yours in." This is what I mean. It's like the absolute best. Like it's that commitment to herself. And I was the same way. And when you get in that routine, when you create such a healthy lifestyle, you don't want to miss a beat with it. So that night for me will stand out forever. It was just like, she took off that gown, she got her workout, and she hit the gym at the hotel, out of town, traveling.
And I want to point something out about this story that's really important, Bonnie. You were allowing her the grace and space to say, I'm signing off, I'm at a work event. It wasn't a perfect day, but I'll make up for it tomorrow because I haven't been able to send you a workout.
Right.
And that was important for you to feel like that was her way of creating self-compassion in that moment. And for her, it was about her self-love in that moment was actually doing the workout. Not because she knew she owed you a picture of a workout, but for her and what she needed for herself, she wanted to go do that workout. And I think that's such an important and great example of bringing self-love and accountability to life and how it holds you accountable to the standards you set for yourself, nobody else's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think Bonnie creates the space for that to happen, Chandler.
Agreed.
Thank you.
That example we have many times over. I learned from Bonnie that part of what makes me feel great is to be able to exercise at times or rest at times. I never understood that balance, never understood how that manifests in terms of self-care before my relationship with Bonnie. I would not have put it in that context. It would have been a chore as opposed to something that is, self-focused or self-love. So I just want to say, having a great partner like Bonnie creates the space for you to be able to love yourself, whether that means another hour of sleep or whether that means going to the gym at 10 p.m. And I find I like to go to the gym late. No one's in there. I don't run into my employees.
Other than your boss coming back.
Right, other than my boss.
Other than that.
Yeah. I always say, and you both have heard me say this to both of you, when you've been in the best of health or when you've been sick, but and one thing I've learned myself and I follow is let your body guide you. So if we need that sleep, your body needs that sleep. And if you need to work out and you're loving how you feel, then you got to get going and do that. And you will, because it's a lifestyle and it's zero pressure. And that's what, for me, and what I like to express to my clients, like I thought of I was nervous about accountability before I began. It's not a hammer. It's like the biggest hug you can possibly give yourself and the biggest gift
I like that.
it truly is. We
For sure.
get to do this. How lucky are we that we get to move our body? We've all had health issues or things that have taken us away from it, but the fact that we're back and we're better than ever. And I know some people, you probably experienced this, Chandler and Diedra. They look at us like we're crazy. Wait, why do you have to go work out? Why can't you meet me? What? And it's, again, boundaries, because this makes me feel good. And so I will meet you later. I can take a rain check on that, but I'm going to go and do this right now for myself. And I love hearing that.
As Oprah says, that was such a tweetable moment, Bonnie. Accountability, not a hammer, a hug.
It is.
That's your new bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love
No,
it. It's a T-shirt.
T-shirt, right? Yeah.
And a t-shirt. Bonnie, I know we're getting near the end, and I want to make sure I allow time for you to ask Diedra any questions you have about your experience together. So I'm going to hand you the mic now.
When did you understand or realize that this was going to reclaim your power, grab back your strength, and give you a freedom and a new lease on life? What was there one moment, or were there several moments?
I was making dinner and we were having grilled fish tacos, which is one of our favorite go-to meals.
My favorite meal, too. I'm just going to jump in and say
Definitely. But I realized after dinner that I chose to make a meal for my family that was good for my body, that was good for my family, that made me feel good. It was my choice. And it was my lifestyle. I had heard lifestyle so many times and couldn't translate what that actually meant for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, I said, this is lifestyle. This is a lifestyle shift. And I feel great. There's so many moments where I feel good in my body and in my mind and in my spirit. And knowing that I can feel like that now is not about what the scale says.
Exactly.
It's not about a perfect size, whatever that is. It is about how I feel in my body. And so that is an example of so many moments I've been able to have on this side of my progress.
And one other question. With your schedule, how demanding it is. And I look at you like you are kind of someone that I'm going to put on the pedestal because you make it work. And I work with a lot of really, really busy, successful moms, women, professionally, personally. What advice would you give them? Because many of them have lots of excuses. How did you shed yours? Because you've never had excuses.
It's a great question, Bonnie. I would say simply, do the program. Do the program. In part because it allows you to tick off the excuses. There will always be competing priorities. There will always be things that need to get done. But if you are going to accomplish your goals, you have to prioritize yourself and you need the tools to do so. And we can come up with excuses. We can, because there's always reasons and there will always be competing priorities. But what is it, Nike that says just do it?
Just do it.
Just do the program.
I know.
And give yourself the gift of doing it. I have tried everything. I've been on every program. I've fasted. I've been on all the programs. I've done the meal by the meal program. I've done it all.
Yeah.
The simplicity and support and accountability of this program just works. And you can take it anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you're never without it. Yeah. Which is the magic of it. So I just would encourage anyone to just do it.
I've been dying to ask you that question forever because truthfully, I mean, I know I can text you that question, but truthfully, I get so many excuses from lots of people. And I look at someone like you who has 1,000,001 things on her plate. and you still do it and you still show up. And I felt like that was the same way. And what was funny is when I first began, and Chandler's heard me say this, I had no problem letting myself down because I'd done that for years, right?
Sure.
Sad as that to say. But I didn't want to let my coach down. And I think that's what held me tight initially. But then when you start to feel so good, like you start good and you see the difference and your mindset's so different and you're moving differently, that's when you're like, oh, okay.
No, I agree 100%. And I will just say it's so empowering to have it. Like when I think about the week that I have coming up, I'm excited that I have your support to get through the week.
And flexibility, because I know it's going to, and that's the beauty with Diedra and myself, is that the flexibility is key with her schedule. And so she makes it work. She might send things at the end of the day. She will send them later, but she gets it done and still stays on track.
100%. 100%. Yeah, this is great. It really has been life-changing for me. And we talked earlier, Chandler, about how did you feel before versus now. This is my lifestyle, and I can truly see myself doing this for life because it works so well and allows me to navigate whatever environment we're in, whether it's, a busy season or whether, we're taking a break. I can see myself doing this for life.
If you had to describe the woman you're becoming in one word, what would it be?
Powerful. Powerful. And what I think about in the power is the ability to impact not just my life, but the lives of those who God has put in my path. There's so much power in me having the self-love and the discipline and the balance that I have now. I can create an even bigger impact, and that's exciting.
Yes, you can. I love that answer. Thanks, Diedra. Bonnie, for someone listening who feels stuck in cycles of stress or failed attempts at losing weight, what's one first and maybe small step they could take today to start holding themselves accountable in a compassionate way?
It's funny. When I always like to say, when we feel stuck or we've had failed attempts, everyone thinks we have to do a huge overhaul of everything at once. I know I did, and you don't. It's that all at once mindset which keeps us paralyzed, in my humble opinion. So I think if we just start with baby steps, and it can be as simple as drink an extra glass of water, or if you're a soda drinker, switch over and try 1 glass of water a day. I always tell people you can please don't tell me you don't have 10 minutes, because I guarantee you can take 10 minutes during lunch to close out your day. I always say, help the sun set, go for a walk. Take some time, pause for 3 deep breaths. If you're in a stressful job like both of you are, do some slow breathing during the day. Carve out that time, because accountability, in my opinion, isn't about guilt or willpower. It's about gently moving to yourself consistently in a way that you can count on yourself and you can create that trust. And once that trust grows, then the bigger changes that you're going to make will feel much more possible, easier, more seamless, and become part of your lifestyle that you're creating.
I think that's a great place for people to start, Bonnie. Thank you for sharing that. Diedra, for listeners who feel exhausted by the pressure of balancing career, health, and family, what would you want them to know?
I'd want them to know that there's help out there, that maybe they've tried programs and have failed and feel exhausted, thinking, I've tried everything. There is support for you, and it's about not giving up and continuing to search until you find the right tool and resource. I would highly recommend the All In program as a place to find that support, but keep searching until you find what works for you, because on the other side of that is balance and confidence and peace and joy. And you're deserving of that. So don't give up. Keep searching until you can find the support that you need that works for you.
And finally, is there a mantra or truth that you carry with you now that helps you feel grounded when life feels heavy?
I have this hashtag that I started a few years back. We do this work together. And what that means is there's a role for us all to play to make things better. And that resonates for me here because it means that it's not only up to me, that there are those out there that, like Bonnie, that can support you. There are those out there that can encourage you, like Chandler. It's not only up to you. We do this together. And so I just would encourage people with that it's not only up to you, that there are those out there that can support your journey.
Bonnie and Diedra, thank you. I am so grateful for your openness, for your vulnerability, and for everything you shared today. What you've offered our listeners is, I think, more than just a glimpse into the healing process. It truly reveals the deeply human experience behind it. And I'm just so grateful to both of you for showing up. Thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you for giving us a platform. And I thank Diedra for so many things, but for fitting us in her busy schedule and for sharing her heartfelt story, because it is one of inspiration and motivation. And you're just, as I'm going to repeat again, just such a shining light for all of us and anyone who is lucky enough to know you. So I'm grateful for both of you for bringing us together today, because it was a story that needed to be told. And I'm so honored to be a part of it with both of you.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you. So wonderful to know both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And for our listeners, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please share it with a friend, and don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast platform. You can also visit healingheroespodcast.com to learn more about the show and our heroes, be notified when Happiness Academy launches, and suggest topics that you'd like us to cover off on in the future. Thank you for listening, everyone. And until next time, remember, be curious, be courageous, and be kind to yourself. You've got this.
Gonna make it through.